Hey YouTube, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I would very much appreciate it. And why are we here today? We are here to look over these reactionary reviews of the Batman. If you haven't seen the Batman, there might be a couple of spoilers here. So if you don't want to watch this video right away, press pause, go watch the movie. The movie's great. Me personally, I really liked it. Really liked the characters. Really liked the message. Really liked the villain. Really liked the story. Really liked pretty much everything about it. But these people right here, they say they liked the movie, but they had a bits of issues with it, and those issues it was too woke. And when someone says it's too woke for me, that is a dog whistle for they didn't like that there are a lot of black and brown people. They didn't like that there were a lot of gay or trans people in the movie. And when I mean a lot, I mean like one or two. They just don't like them existing in the movie. So that is what woke is to me now. It's just a dog whistle for bigotry, pretty much. And let's go over it. I have not seen this video. I have seen this one, and this one was, oh my god, he goes mask off racist. And RK Outpost, I don't think I know him like that. I think he might be part of Geeks and Gamers. I'm not too sure. Back when I was more reactionary, I used to watch Geeks and Gamers more, but I never really got into this guy. So let's see what he has to say. I heard he says some weird ass shit in this review, and let's see if we can debunk this in any way, shape, and form, which we will if he calls the movie woke in any sort of way. I was gonna skip forward just a little bit just to see when he starts to get yikesy, because I have heard he does get yikesy with his views. So let's skip forward a bit.
Don't, which is, but this is, that's what they delivered on. Into that a little bit later. There were a couple things that bothered me, and I'll get into that a little bit later.
That there were black people in the movie. That's the thing that bothered him.
But overall,
probably,
Robert
I don't know. I probably
Batman,
shouldn't poison the well like that.
I think he nailed it. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. I didn't know how I'd think about her.
Fine. Zoe Kravitz is fine.
I really didn't. I'm not a huge... I don't like race swapping at all for any reason whatsoever. It's kind of inexcusable. However...
Why is it inexcusable? Like, why? Can you give me a reason for that? I mean, what if a person that's not like... That's the same race as like the character that's just kind of sort of how it's played, but the character they want to play, their like whiteness, I guess, isn't like intrinsic to the character, but like a person of color wants to play that character, but they automatically can't because they were born with more melanin than the white person. Is that so? Is that your feeling? Because I don't think that's the case. I don't think race swapping is just a neutral thing. It just depends on like what character it is. When it's a character that their race has like nothing to do with their character, then I don't mind race swapping. But when they race swap and then like that's what a lot of these reactionaries say. They say, oh, you don't have a problem with Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman being race swapped, being black, but what if he turned a Black Panther white? Well, Black Panther being black is like a big thing for his character, especially in the movie. Is like a huge thing with his character. And I think another reason why they do race swap a lot is because white people have been controlling the media and all that shit for a long while. It's only right now how it's beginning to turn. So there is an abundance of white fucking characters and barely any people of color. So I think that's another reason why race swapping is a thing. Now, me personally, I don't mind race swapping. However, I do prefer when they create a brand new character that is like a person of color, and then that character becomes big, like Miles Morales. Like bring him. I think that is a really good way to introduce a character. But however, reactionaries back when Miles Morales first came out, they hated Miles Morales. They disliked him. They're using the same arguments they use now, even though he's the brand new character, and they're doing so. They're just gonna bitch and moan and complain, whatever you do. But that's me personally.
Zoe Kravitz I think she did a great job kind of embodying that character, even walking like a cat. She was very feline in her approach to it. I like the way she fit into this movie. She did not upstage Batman at all. If anybody was worried about that, didn't happen. She does say
Why would anybody worried about Catwoman of staging Batman? What does that even mean? Like being in a movie a lot more, or like being a better character, or her being a better actress? I don't even know what that
save
means.
him one time. He saves her probably 4 or 5 times. And Batman is the one who is telling her that she is kind of lost the way she's lost her moral compass, not the other way around. So I think that was very, very good. Jeffrey Wright didn't blow me away. I think it was fine as Commissioner Gordon.
Oh,
And
Jeffrey Wright was amazing as Commissioner Gordon. Him and Robert Pattinson's Batman were amazing. They had a really good chemistry together. I really liked the way they worked together in the movie. But let's see what he has to say.
I again, don't fucking race swap characters. But I didn't see anything special about him. He's a great actor, but it wasn't like he was crazy good to me in this. Colin Farrell's Penguin was unrecognizable. He did a great job, but the makeup and effects team did a great job making him not look like Colin Farrell in any way, shape, or form. Andy Serkis' Alfred, we needed more of it. We needed more of it. There's something that happens about halfway through the movie that's very powerful and impactful with Alfred, and I feel like we needed more of him in the first half of this movie. One of my complaints. A couple other complaints that I have, and they have to do a little bit with identity politics.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is the moment we've been waiting for.
There was one line that was in this movie that really threw me out of it. It is when Catwoman basically...
Oh, man. When I heard her say this line that he's about to say, my mind instantly went, that took me out of the movie. It didn't take me out of the movie because the movie was bad or like the line was bad. It took me out because I was like, these motherfuckers were going to be angry.
Basically is saying they only care about themselves, these white privileged people. You didn't need to use the word white. You could have just said privilege and that would have basically done the job, but they said white privileged people. It was very distinct, very much.
I mean, everybody in this movie who had a position of power, they were white. You know, they were. So her saying white position of power, just, you know, it's what she said there is just true. It's factual.
Stood out. It bothered me and it took me out of it. It's not something that needed to be done, but they threw it in there. I think it was way too on the nose. Didn't like it. Another thing, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. So warning for spoilers. It's not a major one, but there were only a couple good people in this movie. You had Bruce Wayne, Batman, and you had Alfred. Those are the only two good white people. The rest of the three other major players that I would consider like overall like moral good people were, you had Jim Gordon, who's black in this. You had Catwoman, who's not white in this. And then you had the mayor, who's a black woman. Again, very much on the nose for current day Hollywood.
So this movie's woke just because it has three people of color who are good. You can you can argue that Catwoman is arguably that she's good. I feel like she's more gray in this movie because even Batman, even he says in this movie that Batman needed to talk her into the way of the light side. She was like not that good. She was morally gray throughout pretty much the entire movie, even at the end, up until the end. And Batman had to bring her to the light. So arguably three people count Catwoman, but Batman, a white person, brought her to the light side. And then two white people, Batman and Alfred. So it's automatically woke because of that? Okay.
Did not like that. Took a little bit off the score for me, to be honest.
Why?
Overall, my experience with it is an 8 out of 10. I think this.
Okay, and we barely saw the fucking black mayor in this movie. We barely saw her. She was barely in the movie. So her being like good, well, it's because, well, kind of because her character is pretty much supposed to be like that blank good politician thing, and she was just also barely in the movie. So, okay.
8 out of 10 movie. I think it's a really fucking good movie. You know, I don't know how much, if you're coming in there looking for a Batman movie and you think that this should be like what we've seen over the past decade with superhero movies, you might walk out a little bit disappointed. I think it was really good. Again, there's some twists and turns in this thing, and it sets up this franchise in this trilogy, which is what I think it'll be, to go on for a while.
There we say he has said some weird shit, but overall not really something I could put in a nail of the coffin. The worst thing he said was putting saying that the movie gets a point down just because there's 3 good black people in this movie and only 2 good white people in this movie, which is something weird to follow, something weird to like instinctively try to point out in the movie, especially when you're right off of the bat watching the movie. I did not think about that until these motherfuckers start bitching and complaining and moaning about that. I just came out being like, oh, you know, that was a good movie, you know. He had some good characters in it too. But then we get to this video. And this video is insane mask off racism. And holy shit, when I say mask off, he goes mask off. The reason why she says he put out this video because Zoe Kravitz, she tried out for a role, for a small role in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. Now, she tried out for the role, and the casting director came up and told her that she did not get the role because she was too urban for the role. Now, a lot of people of color know, especially black people know, that urban is just a term that right now can just be used as like a new N-word, you know, like thug, that they use to put down people of color and more specifically black people in this. And that was like really, really bad that they said that to her. But she said she doesn't hold any hatred or any blame to Christopher Nolan. She said it's probably like a casting director or somebody else that told the person to tell her that. And a lot of fucking news outlets saying that she tried out for Catwoman, which is not true. She even Zoe Kravitz even put out a story and clarified that no, it was a small part that she was going out. She wasn't going for Catwoman at that time. So that's pretty much what he's talking about here. And well, I'll show y'all what he's gonna say.
What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and despite the fact that The Batman is the #1 movie in the world right now, making $250 million at the box office opening weekend, even though it's been loved by the critics and most audiences have also been really enjoying The Batman, that isn't quite enough to let someone forget about their supposed victimhood. Somebody associated with The Batman who, ironically, given the words that were used in this movie, lived a very, very privileged life, is saying that it just wasn't fair what's happened to her in the past. And that person of...
Oh my god. Immediately off the bat, fucking mask off, and he just gets worse and worse as the video goes on. Now, let's go back and dissect what he has to say, because he has said a bunch of weird and whack ass shit.
Even though it's been loved by the critics and most audiences have also been really enjoying The Batman, that isn't quite enough to let someone forget about their supposed victimhood.
So, literally, Zoe Kravitz saying that a person called her too urban when she was born rich, so she probably didn't even live in an urban neighborhood. She probably just lived in a suburb, a really wealthy suburb. So again, calling her urban just because she has more melanin than any other person is not victimhood. It's just racist. It's just racist. So him just hand waving it away, just saying that this just victimhood for her is super racist.
Associated with The Batman, who, ironically, given the words that were used in this movie, lived a very, very privileged life.
And now it seems like he's blaming her for what her character said in the movie. It was something that he was super triggered about saying like all these white privileged assholes. Now, that is Catwoman. That is Selena Kyle. That is Zoe Kravitz's character. She didn't write the script. She's an actress. She had to say that for her work. So putting that out as like like saying like Zoe Kravitz meant to say that. She forced everybody else to hear her and made everybody else film her say white privilege assholes. Is something that is a little weird to me as well. Something very, very weird. Which that's not it. There's more to it.
Is saying that it just wasn't fair what's happened to her in the past. And that person, of course, is Zoe Kravitz. And the statements that we're going to go through.
And she doesn't go out saying it's not fair. She just said it was weird that someone said that she was too urban to play a movie. And it was like, all she said was like, it's fucked up. She didn't like cry about it or anything.
And the way that she approaches them.
And also, when it comes to, hold up, going down to me as a political streamer, me reading articles as I do you guys, I try to find the most accurate and most non-biased articles out there. Now, if you read this headline is super biased, super reactionary, and super just wrong. What it says: the Batman actress Zoe Kravitz accuses Californians of racism. Well, when we go down in the video, I want you to keep that in mind. When does she ever accuse Californians of racism? I'll tell you when. Never. She has never said that. So of course, this article he's pulling from this random ass, whack ass, dumbass, certified dumbass website is just lying, and it's terrible right here. So you got to keep that in mind when you guys are out there and trying to read articles. And says she was rejected from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Rises because of her skin color, which is true. But I think here saying Christopher Nolan's will kind of put a seed in your mind that she's accusing Christopher Nolan that he rejected her personally because of her skin color, which is not true. She never accused him. She even clarified that, no, I'm not blaming Christopher Nolan for that. So I feel like you just say The Dark Knight Rises instead of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises.
Just further goes to show why so many people are really tired of Hollywood, really tired of celebrities, because
everybody's really tired of Hollywood, yet the Batman is making hella bank during a pandemic. Spider-Man No Way Home made so much bread during the pandemic as well. So I guess being tired of Hollywood is giving them a lot of money. I have no idea. And tired of celebrities, I mean, I guess some, but not Zoe Kravitz. Everybody's praising Zoe Kravitz for this movie, so I don't see anybody tired of her.
Because they're so out of touch with everyday people, especially when you're someone.
It's funny when a white guy says Zoe Kravitz is out of touch because she says that someone was being racist to her. Okay.
Who's grown up the way that Zoe Kravitz has. But let's get into this. The Batman actress Zoe Kravitz accuses Californians of racism, says she was rejected from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises because of her skin color. So despite the fact that she is playing Catwoman, and despite the fact that there's a very high likelihood that that's because of the way that she looks, considering all of the reports that were out there before she was cast as Catwoman, Matt Reeves eyeing POC actress for Catwoman in Robert Pattinson's The Batman, and then what do you know, that's exactly what we ended up getting, who delivers a white privilege line. Despite all of that, Zoe Kravitz is very who delivers.
I mean, all this says is Matt Reeves eyeing POC actress for the Catwoman and Robert Pattinson's Batman. I mean, he could have just been looking at Zoe Kravitz and being like, oh, I just want Zoe Kravitz, not just because she's black, it's because I like her as an actress.
Delivers a white privilege line. Despite all of that, Zoe Kravitz is very upset because she thinks that someone didn't give her the role because of racism. Let's get into this. The Batman actress Zoe Kravitz recently claimed she was rejected from a role in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises film due to her skin color. Now, in the interview that we're gonna be talking about today, she doesn't specify what role it is. I think there's some people that are assuming it was the role of Catwoman. I don't really think that's the case. She just said
it's not
role, so I feel like she would have specified Catwoman if that was the case, but just to point that out. In a wide-ranging interview with The Guardian, Kravitz discussed rejection and the advice she received from her mother, Lisa Bonet. And before we even get into this, I think Gary made a really good point.
This would be a good point if Zoe Kravitz was talking about how she was rejected because she was rich or she didn't seem rich or something to do with her wealth, which is not the case. She's saying she got rejected for her skin color, not her wealth. So this is not a good point at all because it has nothing to do with what she said that why she got fired of the movie. Like, okay.
Pray for Zoe Kravitz. She has it so hard. Her parents combined didn't have a net worth over $100 million. And of course, that's true. They only have a net worth of approximately $90 million between Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet.
I think Nerd, whatever the fuck his name is also a piece of shit. Also a reactionary, just like this guy, and a garbage human being, and not a true fan of comic books. Because if you actually read comic books are actually pretty left-leaning.
Bonet. It must have been a real struggle for her growing up. She would tell The Guardian, even though it's sometimes hard to see in the moment, usually a few years later, you're like, okay, this is why this didn't happen. Specifically, she would reveal she was rejected from a role in Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, telling the British outlet, I don't know if it came directly from Chris Nolan. I think it was probably a casting director of some kind or a casting director's assistant. Being a woman of color and being an actor and being told at the same time I wasn't able to read because of the color of my skin and the word urban being thrown around like that, that was really hard about that moment. Again, this is fairly ironic considering Matt Reeves went out specifically trying to cast a
Oh, I guess he's just not going to answer her point as well. Wait, just because someone picks you for a part of who was a white character originally, but you're a person of color, just because someone picks a part for you for that doesn't excuse the racism you encountered like in a movie before. I don't know what the fuck he means by this. What? And also, he actually doesn't say that she was wrong there because to him, urban does mean black people. To him, urban does mean brown people. So when she said she had a problem with urban being used towards me, he was like, what's the issue? You are urban. You are black, you know? When that's not the word urban. Urban does not mean that. It doesn't.
Person of color, not only for Catwoman, but also for Jim Gordon. If you remember back to these rumors 2 or 3 years ago, that's what was out there, that Matt Reeves was specifically looking for people of color and that Jeffrey Wright wasn't his first.
I mean, he's kind of right, but he makes it seem like white people were off the table for playing Commissioner Gordon. Here it just says he eyes Jeffrey Wright for Commissioner Gordon role, thinking that he is the best guy for the role he wanted to play for his movie. And watching the movie, I think he was right. I think Jeffrey Wright was an amazing choice to play Commissioner Gordon.
First choice, it was actually Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala.
When that didn't work, he went after Jeffrey Wright, and that's who he got to play Jim Gordon. A lot of people like to believe that it's just, well, the best person for the job, regardless of what they look like.
Maybe Mahershala Ali was the best guy for the role, but maybe something bad happened, and he couldn't take the role, obviously, because he didn't take the role. And maybe to Matt Reeves, the other guy, right? I forgot his name already. The guy who actually played Commissioner Gordon was the best role for this movie.
Like casting calls,
but of course he's like, they're black, so you know they can't be the best choice for this movie.
Want people to look a certain way. That's always the way it's been. That's always the way it will be for every single role. So don't try to trick yourselves into thinking, well, if this person got the role, it must just be because they're the best person for the job or whatever. No, they want them to look a certain way. In fact, Matt Reeves even described what he wanted.
Then why didn't he make Batman black? Why didn't he make fucking Alfred black? Why didn't he make so many other characters in the movie black? You know, if apparently they had a woke agenda to make every character in the movie be good. Every character in the movie that is good being a person of color. Why didn't he make Alfred black? Of course, like what the fuck?
As a Zoe Kravitz-esque person. If we go back to this, I think it even says that in this article. The search is officially underway for the next Catwoman. The Batman helmer Matt Reeves is putting some feelers out for a woman of color for the role of the femme fatale. One source tells us Matt Reeves wants a Zoe Kravitz type actress to play Catwoman. meaning whoever's cast will likely be black or biracial. Zoe Kravitz was the actual choice slash prototype for the Catwoman role.
Now I'm gonna steel man this argument for Matt Reeves. Maybe what he's saying, he wants, again, he says Zoe Kravitz type actress. So maybe someone who kind of looks like Zoe Kravitz, which could be in the color issue right there, or someone that acts like Zoe Kravitz, which could be any color of person. So that's me steel manning Matt Reeves' what he wanted for this.
But the actress is not available due to her busy schedule. He specifically wanted someone that looked like Zoe Kravitz. That's what he wanted. Now, obviously, things cleared up. The film got shifted back a little bit. She was able to do the filming. He got who he wanted. That's how it works, apparently, in Hollywood. Not only did she claim she was rejected from the role in the...
Wait, what? That's how it works in Hollywood. I mean, getting an actress you wanted for your movie. I mean, I guess. I think that happens a lot of times in Hollywood. A lot of directors want a specific person for the role, and I don't know how much. I don't know what's if there's a study out there or how many directors get their first choice of actor or actress to play a role in their movie, but I'm pretty sure that happens quite a bit.
The Dark Knight Rises, but she also claimed all the scripts being sent were about the first black woman to make a muffin or something. Even though those stories are important, I also want to open things up for myself as an artist. Kravitz would then go on to accuse people who live near the set location of Big Little Lies as racist.
This is what the article says, that she calls Californians. When you say Californians, it means all of California racist. Just accuse people who live near set location of Big Little Lies. Now, I guess to this article, Big Little Lies set location is all of California, which is something I disagree, because California is, if you haven't heard, if you don't know, California is fucking massive. It's pretty big, a pretty big place. So to me, a set location is not big enough to be all of California. And knowing that this article is twisting, they're just going out there and pushing out their own narrative for this and twisting reality to fit their narrative. I do not, but I feel like Zoe Kravitz probably said a bit more of a reason why she thinks these people were racist.
She told The Guardian, "There were a few moments where I felt a little uncomfortable because it's such a white area."
I mean, that's not calling anybody racist.
Just for a second, especially with all the backlash that's been out there over my review of the Batman, imagine if I said that, but said a black neighborhood or a black area.
Well, when people of color don't feel comfortable around a white area, it's because they're afraid that they're going to get lynched, which is something that sadly has been happening to this day. Ahmaud Arbery, to say it, to name a person. And, people get, what people call it, get comfortable because, they might get stuff denied for them. If they wanted to apply a job there, they might get denied just because of the color of skin. They might go to an area and they probably get denied to go into that area because of the color of their skin, and they're probably a little fearful for being called like racist slurs and stuff. But when a white person goes to the black area, they're just afraid of that the black people would just rob them because they got a gene, an inherent gene that makes them more violent than white people. So I think there is a bit of a difference.
Imagine the backlash. But no, this is fine. Zoe Kravitz is allowed to say that. That's fine for Zoe Kravitz. She then explained what made her uncomfortable. Just weird racist people in bars and things like that.
I don't trust this article, so she probably said something more to that.
Again, a very rough life.
And again, just weird racist people in bars like stuff. So when she's calling them racist, I assume something went down in that bar where people in that bar probably said and looked and denied her things because the color of her skin.
A very rough life. You should feel bad for Zoe Kravitz. Part of, again, the #1 movie in the world. A lot of people are praising her in the role as Catwoman, myself included. Myself included, if you go back to my review.
Kind of.
But nonetheless, you need to feel bad. The Catwoman actress would also discuss...
There's a difference between wealth and racism. Okay, I just want to point that out. If you guys don't know, there's a difference between those two things.
Her own heritage, that she had trouble with her own identity when she was younger. I felt insecure about my hair, relaxing it, putting chemicals in it, plucking my eyebrows really thin. I was uncomfortable with my blackness. It took me a long time to not only accept it, but to love it and want to scream it from the rooftops. And she talks about her grandmother and the Jeffersons TV show and how important that was. She would make sure that her parents never warned me or anything. I think they were more focused on trying to make sure I understood, despite the color of my skin, I should be able to act or dress or do whatever it is I want to do. Kravitz stars as the Catwoman in The Batman. What do you make of her accusations of racism and her claim she was rejected from Nolan's The Dark Knight Rising because of her skin color? Now, when it comes to all these people are just racist in this area in California. Yeah, I'm sure. Again, if I said something like that, imagine the fucking backlash. When it comes to
Wait,
Nolan,
what?
The Dark Knight Rises.
If you say a place in California was racist, I don't think you'll get that much backlash. What?
She's like, I don't think it came from Christopher Nolan, probably just a production, but that's still...
Because
is casting an aspersion. You don't think Christopher Nolan's going to be asked about something like that? With all of that being said, I have no idea what the role is.
What would he say?
Christopher Nolan, probably just a production. The Dark Knight Rises. She's like, I don't think it came from Christopher Nolan, probably just a production, but that still is casting an aspersion. You don't think Christopher Nolan's going to be asked?
Wait, what? No, she clarified him. She's not throwing him under the bus for that. What? Because if she even says just The Dark Knight Rises alone, a lot of people know, oh, who directed that? Christopher Nolan. So her saying, oh, I don't think it's Christopher Nolan, it's a casting director or casting director's assistant, that's actually like taking Christopher Nolan like off the table, and everybody should focus on the casting director or the casting director's assistant, not Christopher Nolan. If she just left it to, oh yeah, I got rejected from The Dark Knight Rises because someone called me urban in that movie, a lot of people are going to point to Christopher Nolan. Okay.
About something like that. With all of that being said, I have no idea what the role is they were looking for. If the role that they were looking to fill was maybe some like blonde bimbo role or whatever, then maybe they were like, no, you're...
Why can't she be a blonde bimbo? She wears wigs in the Batman movie you just seen. You think her hair is naturally pink? What?
You're not exactly what we're looking for in that. That happens in Hollywood. In the same time, if you're...
Yeah, but when that happens is, oh, I don't think you're the role we're looking for. You can come back and try again. Instead of saying to her, oh, I don't think you're the role you're looking for. You look too urban, even though you did grow up wealthy. Okay.
Making a biopic
I feel like that's a bit of a difference.
About LeBron James. Would you really be surprised if when Ryan Reynolds goes and tries to audition for LeBron James that doesn't happen? They say, no, Ryan, you're actually not what we're looking for in this LeBron James biopic to play LeBron James. With all of that.
No. Okay. But if Ryan Reynolds went out and wanted to be in a small role for that LeBron James biopic, just to make it more of a comparison between these two things, because Zoe Kravitz didn't want to be the main character in The Dark Knight Rises. When Ryan Reynolds goes out and wants to be in a small role, and they say he's too suburban, like that's a little too weird. I feel like that would be weird too, because there's a lot of white people in basketball.
That said, I am far more likely to believe that she's just making all this shit up for attention, to be quite honest with you.
Why? What? Just because? Wait, what? Her making it up? What reason? Why? It's because she's the only... Okay, I know the reason why he doesn't believe her. Just because she's black. That's the only reason why. He doesn't believe her just because she's black. And that's it. That's it.
to you. Based on how she's reacted, based on some of the things she said in a lot of interviews we've watched, yeah, I think she's just trying to make people feel bad for her and feel like she was left out of a role because of the color of her skin. Either way.
Wait, what? Just you say boo-hoo, you experience racism? Just walk away. Just pick yourself up from your bootstraps and just take it like a woman, you know? That's it, just because of okay.
It just goes to show how out of touch these people are. She grew up, again, tens of millions of dollars, super privileged, and is sitting here.
That doesn't excuse racism. It doesn't.
Complaining about so many different things leading up to her.
She's not complaining about so many different things. She's just complaining that she experienced racism.
Starring in this movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell.
Dog shit. Dog doo-doo ass. This guy, we get him stamp of approval. Certified dumb fuck. We'll mail it to him. Mail it to him. You put it behind his wall right over there. Okay, but that is that right there. We can go over this Ben Shapiro thing a little bit, but yeah, let's go. Ben Shapiro does say the same thing as well. The big brain boy. A lot of people say that he is a prodigy, even though he is like 35 or something. You know, and when he got big, he was like in his mid 20s. So I guess that qualifies as a prodigy now.
Folks, so last night I went and I saw The Batman. My review of that is coming up in just one moment. This video is sponsored by Ring. And then I got a little further in. I was like, all right. With my wife, it is.
Okay.
So last night I went and saw The Batman. Went and saw it with my wife. It is 1 million hours long. And it's one of those movies where.
Okay. It's just over 3 hours long. Okay. And it is just 20 minutes over a regular ass Marvel movie. And I don't understand because as the only thing I have in common with Ben Shapiro, sadly, is that we both like Zack Snyder's DC movies. We both really like Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition. We both really like Zack Snyder's Justice League. So you and me really like those two movies, Ben Shabibo. Why are those two movies not extremely fucking long, but this one is? When this movie's as long as Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition and an hour shorter than Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I started off and I was like, okay. And then I got a little further in. I was like, all right. And then I got to the end. I was like, meh. And then the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. And so you're about to hear.
He's so mad. He's so triggered. He's so mad
on the Batman.
Look at him. He's so mad. He's so mad.
Because I hate this movie. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to tell you right up front, spoilers. Spoilers aplenty here. So if you haven't seen the film yet and you want to see the film and you don't want to be spoiled, I'm warning you. You've been warned. All right, this is Detective Batman. So if the original Michael Keaton Batman was sort of crime-fighting Batman and the Christopher Nolan Batman was city-saving Batman, this Batman is supposed to be Detective Batman. And this has a long history in the Batman comics. Some of the best Batman comics, particularly my favorite, The Long Halloween, is rooted in the idea of Batman not just as Caped Crusader, but as a great detective, smarter than everybody else, capable of picking up on clues, investigating and tracking down crimes.
I always think it's funny when a conservative, their favorite band or their favorite book is a pretty left-leaning property. You know, when I see conservatives say, "Oh yeah, my favorite band is Rage Against the Machine," when we know Rage Against the Machine are literally communists. And it's funny how I saw that has nothing to do with this, but I want to put it out. Some Trump supporters literally having like Back the Blue and Blue Lives Matter flags playing Killing in the Name, which is a anti-cop song, and they're dancing to it. I just thought it's pretty funny. Another shows why conservatives don't know how to art. They don't. They just do not.
The acting is okay, as we'll find out in a second. They give Robert Pattinson nothing to do as Batman. Nothing to do as Batman.
He's just objectively wrong in this. Robert Pattinson spends 90% of the movie in the Bat costume, and what he does is does detective work. So I guess if someone's doing detective work in a movie, that is literally doing nothing. So okay.
I didn't think that Zoe Kravitz had any sort of chemistry with Robert Pattinson. So she's fine. She's kind of flirty. Meh. I didn't see anything particularly wrong with her performance. I just didn't see a lot right with her performance. You have John Turturro showing up as Carmine Falcone, and he is John Turturro, so he's okay. He's somewhat menacing. The best performance in the film is Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. You literally cannot spot Colin Farrell in this makeup. There is no way that you can see Colin Farrell here. The whole movie, I'm staring at him going, that's not Colin. It is Colin Farrell. It's the best performance in the movie. Paul Dano gives a good performance in the film, although he's sort of playing the Joker a little bit, although he's playing it more wide-eyed, as Paul Dano is apt to do.
That's something I kind of agree with him. The Riddler kind of does play the Joker sometimes in this movie. I definitely get a big Heath Ledger Joker vibe when he's filming himself and when he has that guy in that rat trap, and at the end when he's laughing with Joker, it's just like he's kind of playing the Joker a little bit here too much. Can we put the Riddler in, not the Joker?
The character of the film is the Riddler, and herein lies the main problem with the film. The biggest problem with the film is that the film hates Batman. Like, the actual Batman character hates the Batman character. And this drives me up an absolute wall. The biggest problem with the film is not the wokeness. Yes, there's some woke touches. You have Catwoman, who is a woman of color, who is, of course, good. And you have the black female mayor, who is good. And you have the black Jim Gordon, who is good. Every white character.
Three. That's all they have. All they have is 3 good black characters. And automatically this makes this movie super woke. That's insane. Insane.
Is apparently bad, like all of them. Fine, whatever. I don't really care about that. That's fine. You have Catwoman say stuff about white privileged elites, and she makes a suggestion that Bruce,
if you don't care about it, why do you keep fucking talking about it?
Wayne as a child, when his parents were
Let's
killed,
move
he
on.
doesn't really have a right to be super upset about that because, of course, he was very, very rich. That doesn't kind of rings hollow. Now, a lot of these lines seem like throwaways for film lefty Twitter, but the main theme is not a throwaway. The main theme is what matters here. The film despises Batman. So every Batman iteration has to explain why a man who is a billionaire would dress up like a bat and go around beating up criminals. It's not answered. And the director doesn't know. And the writer doesn't.
How's it not answered? Have you seen the movie?
So in the Nolan films, to take the contrast, the question as to why Batman does this is because if Batman does not actually intimidate the criminal underworld because the city is so corrupt, no one else will do it, and money isn't going to solve the problem. And so he needs to create a theatrical kind of fear in order to dissuade the criminal underworld from participating. And then, as it turns out, he also has to save the city itself and demonstrate his faith in the city by becoming a symbol. Here, you don't really know why Batman is doing what he's doing. It's never explained. He's very wealthy.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of crime in Gotham. And in the movie, he specifically says that in the very beginning of the movie. The first thing like you hear him speak is in he's being a narrator, and that's what he says. That's what he wants to do, but he feels like he's not making an impact. So did he just go to the bathroom at that point?
He doesn't,
and he does become a symbol at the end of the movie. At the very end, when he helps save everybody. So what?
Apparently do anything with his wealth. He doesn't try to give charity. He doesn't. I mean, this actually made a plot point. He's a bad man because he's white. He's a bad white man who doesn't.
No, he's a good person. He's so much of a good person that he makes Catwoman, a person of color, become good because she wasn't really that good, but he makes her become good. Okay, so I don't know why he's bringing that here.
Actually give charity. He's not involved, and he's not playing that as a role. Again, this is part of the problem, is that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same character. So
I could kind of agree with him there about Bruce Wayne and Batman being the same character, but however, this is a new Batman, a different version from Christopher Nolan's Batman, so you can't really compare them like that. And he's trying to find himself in this movie, definitely. And he doesn't know how to act as Bruce Wayne. So maybe you got to wait and see until the sequel, but I understand why he's doing the things he's doing. Because he only wants to focus on being Batman. He doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne.
Keep using the Nolan comparison because it is the gold standard for all superhero movies, not just Batman movies. So when you look at Nolan's Batman, Bruce Wayne is the character that Batman is playing. Okay, Bruce Wayne is not real. Batman is real. Batman is who Bruce Wayne really is. And so he has to play a fop. In Batman Begins, he's squiring around ladies in his Lamborghini, and
Again,
he's buying hotels, and he's doing
this
all
is-
of this
this movie's
just
not
to cover
Batman
up for the
Begins.
fact that he is Batman. So you get very separate
It's a
Batman
different
and Bruce
movie.
Wayne. You get the same thing actually with Michael Keaton. Batman and Bruce Wayne are two different characters. Here, Batman and Bruce Wayne are the exact same character. There are points where Bruce Wayne is walking around. He's got the same dour expression, same glazed look, same kind of emo thing going on as Batman does the entire movie. And so there's no dichotomy. Alrighty, folks. Well, I may not have loved the Batman.
I mean, can there not be? Is it wrong to have different interpretations of a character that's been around for fucking 70 years, 70 plus years? I mean, I do think so, and it's something I have. What I hate about Zack Snyder haters out there is that they say that Superman cannot be this. He only has to be the joyful version and character from the bat. Like, okay, dog, no, Superman's been around for a long ass time. There could be different interpretations of the character. And if you know Zack Snyder, if you know his story, Henry Cavill Superman would have ended up at the end of the arc being that Superman, being the hopeful, joyful Superman. So I just don't like people who just don't care for different interpretations of a character.
Companies. You and your loved ones can rest easy.
Okay,
My
fuck
family
off.
will
Your
know what's going on.
sponsor.
// Ben Batman has only been Batman for a couple of years, so he's not really good at Batmaning yet.
2.
And he is tracking down criminals.
2 years.
And he gets drawn into a plot by the Riddler. The Riddler is giving clues so that Batman can track down all the way through the system of Gotham this citywide corruption that apparently is going to bring down the entire superstructure of faith in the city. Meanwhile, you have Catwoman, who's Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. And Zoe Kravitz is similarly engaged in an attempt to commit a robbery against one of these underworld figures, but she's drawn into Batman's orbit by a murder that both of them are investigating at the same time, the murder of her roommate, maybe something more going on there. The Riddler is the main villain of the movie. You see the Penguin a fair bit. Carmine Falcone is one of the big characters in the movie. You get a little bit of Alfred. Of course, you get Jim Gordon, whose main job in this film is apparently just to say Jesus over and over again.
Christ, it's Coulson.
Whenever something bad happens, he just goes, Jesus. And that happens like 6 times. Like Jim Gordon does nothing.
6 times in a 3-hour-long movie. I guess that's a long time. And I know a lot of people who get surprised. And of course, this is a detective movie where fucked up shit happens in Gotham and in his city, something he has never seen before. A lot of people, when they get surprised, they say Christ, they say Jesus Christ, they say Jesus, like, oh my God, and stuff like that. So it's not like out of the ordinary for him to say just 6 times in the movie. Shit, if I seen what he's seen, I'd probably say it more. And he does way more stuff in this movie than just do that.
For basically stop Batman from getting arrested a lot. That's pretty much all he does. He's a bad detective. He doesn't do anything. The plot is that all these people get killed. Batman uncovers it. He realizes that his dad was corrupt also, or that his dad engaged in corruption with Carmine Falcone. Finally, we get to the end. Paul Dano does it's such a ripoff of Seven. He gives himself up. He doesn't get captured by Batman. Batman does not prevent a single one of these deaths. Batman, in fact, is complicit in one of the deaths by accident. And he doesn't actually.
I think Matt Reeves did say his big influence in this movie was Seven and was Zodiac. So a movie borrowing elements from another movie is being automatically a ripoff. That's something I just disagree with. If it's like exactly the same, which is not as Seven, because in Seven, I forgot the main villain, but he played by Kevin Spacey. He walks into the police station and like says, "Yo, I'm here. Take me. I did the murders." He confesses right there. The Riddler here doesn't. He goes to a coffee shop, and the police just know where he's at, and they go in there and they take him. So it's different. It's not exactly the same. It's different.
Actually captured the Riddler because he's clever. The Riddler gives himself up by sitting at a diner and getting arrested. Then he unleashes a bombing of Gotham that essentially causes the flooding of the city. And Batman goes to the Madison Square Garden, where a mayoral event is now being held for the brand new mayor, who is an uplifting black female who has no other story or backstory, so she's really uninteresting. It starts to flood. And up on top, in the wings, are a bunch of Paul Dano's followers, are a bunch of the Riddler's followers who are all dressed like the
There's
Riddler.
something like that's not really woke about this movie, quote unquote, because of course the Black Mayor, she's a good person in the movie, but she's barely in the movie. She has no backstory, no character development, nothing. I would rather have a bad character that has a lot of character development, really good backstory, and really interesting traits. Rather have that than a boring ass character like the black woman character, you know? So that's not really woke. That's downplaying a person of color there.
They are shooting down into the crowd to try and kill members of the elite in Gotham City. And so Batman goes up there and he's beating people up. There comes a point where he's beating this guy and he's really like maybe beating him almost to death. And he stops and they take off that guy's mask and they say, "Who are you?" And the guy says, "I am vengeance." Okay, now this is the theme throughout the film. Ooh, the theme. Okay, so in order to explain why this is a problem, you have to now understand the character of the Riddler. So it says right at the beginning of the movie, "Who is Batman? I'm vengeance," right? He's just on the streets and he's beating people up.
I'm vengeance.
And then people keep calling him Mr. Vengeance for no apparent reason. Like, we don't know why they're calling him that because he never actually publicly says he's vengeance. It's in his creepy diary, which again is supposed to be a mirror image of the fact that the Riddler also keeps a Zodiac killer style diary. So
This is
they're
true,
supposed to
what
be
he says.
two halves of the same whole. Batman is beating up this follower of the Riddler's. He takes off his mask and the guy says, "I'm vengeance." And suddenly Batman sees. Suddenly Batman realizes he can't be vengeance. That's not what he's meant to do. He's betrayed his mission. And so he then
What's wrong with
descends.
that? I felt like that was a decent plot. He can't be this rageful and super fear inducing character. You know, he needs to take his rage away and needs to be better. That's something I really liked about Batman versus Superman. It shows that being a rageful Batman isn't a good thing, even though it's cool in the moment and it makes for like really good fight scenes and stuff, and really good back and forth when he's arguing with another character. That's not a good character traits for Batman. So in Batman v Superman, he learns he's wrong at the end of the movie, and he does better. And you can see him doing a lot better in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's the same with this movie right here.
On an electrified cable because he's trying to stop people from being electrocuted by this flying electrical wire. And he cuts off the cable. He's holding on to it. He falls down into the water. A rebaptism. He gets up, and then he proceeds to lead a bunch of people who are not really trapped, but kind of trapped, I suppose. And he leads them to...
Well, they're kind of trapped by them not knowing what the fuck to do in that situation. Everything's flooding. I feel like a lot of people would not know what to do. Me, I don't know if I would know what to do in that situation if I was in, like, everything was flooding around me. I'll try to get to higher ground, but maybe where they were at, he carries a flare, so maybe he couldn't see jack shit. So maybe they're trapped in that way.
I guess a safer place by carrying a torch. And then he goes up to the top of Madison Square Garden, and he is helping people be airlifted and medevaced out. And this is how he has learned fulfillment. So what is this movie about? This movie is about how fighting criminality does not actually help innocent people. He says this at the very beginning. He says, "I'm not sure I'm doing any good. By fighting the criminals, crime is still up." It turns out that...
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, he's like, "I see a new purpose for my life. I think this way would definitely help more people." He's still going to do a crime fighting, but he's going to do it in a different way.
Batman has to stop being Batman. Batman has been missing it the whole time. He's not going to stop being Batman. What Batman really has to be is Superman. Batman needs to go into areas like Madison Square Garden and not fight the criminals. He needs to go and lead people with a torch to a slightly safer area. He needs to help medevac people on the top of he needs to build Habitat for Humanity. He needs to join Jimmy Carter and build houses for homeless people. That's what Batman needs to be doing. This really is a sort of attack on the idea that fighting crime helps innocent people. It's an almost defund the police attitude toward what crime is.
Okay.
And it's an attack
of course
on the basic idea that individuals are capable of doing justice by finding bad guys and fighting them. Instead, apparently, individuals are only capable of doing nice things by helping little old ladies cross the street. It's this sort of...
You don't think saving those people's lives, saving them from drowning or being, like, electrocuted is not a good thing to do? Would you just let them die? You just be like, "Oh, that's not my job. My job is fighting villains." He can't do both. You know, I think that's the thing of the story. He's only focusing on fighting villains, but no, at the end of the movie, he realizes that he also has to help people as well.
Mentality that has led to New York turning into Gotham City in the last couple of years, by the way. That's a fundamental betrayal of what Batman is. What makes Batman different from the Riddler and than any of these other criminals is these criminals target innocent people and Batman targets criminals. That's the basis of the character. The entire basis of the character is the cops are bad at targeting criminals because they're corrupt. Batman is good at targeting criminals because he's smart and because he's rich and because he's incorruptible. That's the entire basis of Batman. And they take all that and they flip it on its head because they don't like Batman. And this is why I have real problems with the movie. I kind of hate the movie. Like, the more I think about it, the more I get angry at it. Because they take the fundamental idea of what Batman is supposed to be, the protector of the innocent who targets the criminal, and they say that if he
the protector of the innocent, that's what they just did.
targets the criminal, this makes him no different than criminals. Because Paul Dano, who's the Riddler, is also targeting criminals all the way up until the very end.
No, but he's hurting people as well.
When they have to just sort of add on this attack on Madison Square Garden and New York Broad Writ for no reason. He has no motivation for blowing up a bunch of trucks and flooding downtown. Like, none. He doesn't.
Yeah, because he thinks yes, he does. All the people there are the elite. So the elite are corrupt, and he believes that the elite are the reasons why Gotham is a dog shit place to stay. So he wants his people there who are wearing the same mask and same outfit as the Riddler to shoot down the elite and the politicians to decorrupt Gotham. So once that's done, he'll rebuild Gotham, because I assume his people probably let him out of Arkham because that's where he's at, and he'll win and he'll rebuild Gotham in a less corrupt way. That is his motivation. Okay? Did you just not understand the movie at all?
Explain why he does it. He doesn't explain what the purpose of it is. All the way along, he's been saying, I'm exposing the true face of Gotham. Okay, that's a rationale. But what does that have to do with blowing up the city? They add that on just
And that part right there, wait, what?
so that they can create a false distinction between Batman and the Riddler.
I would say, yeah, that is a distinction that makes them different. And shows that if Batman continues the way he's doing without thinking about the people of Gotham, he'll just become the Riddler.
So that Batman can change his mission. So now Batman's mission is not beating up bad guys and stopping bad guys. Now Batman's mission is to be a firefighter. He's no longer a detective or a police officer. He's a firefighter. That's a betrayal, and it's a real problem. And that's my biggest issue with the film. It just feels like such a sellout. It feels like such a sellout of what Batman is supposed to be. Again, it's got a little bit of woke politics, but that's really not the problem. The problem is the broader woke orientation of the film. If the Nolan Batman was about the idea that you help innocent people by fighting criminality and provide an inspiration to people to fight criminality, if that's the idea of Batman, which it is, that's completely thrown on its head here. Matt Reeves, who's credited as both a director and a writer on the film, he does not like Batman, and I can't get over this. How do you give $150 million to a dude to make a movie about Batman when he clearly does not like Batman? When he thinks that Batman is bad, and that Batman has to be shown the error of his ways and learn to be a nicer human being. By the way, the very end of the movie, Catwoman, who at no point has actually demonstrated any sort of moral bona fides. Like, I'm not sure she does a moral thing in the entire movie.
Then why are you calling her a good character? Why do you say, oh, there's 3 black characters that are good? Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon, and the Black Mayor. Well, one of them, the Black Mayor, has no character development, no fucking, barely in the movie, has nothing to her. And Catwoman, she's morally gray throughout the entire movie. So how the fuck can you say she was like a good character?
At the very end, she says to him, why don't you run away with me? And we'll go rob some hedge fund CEOs. And he doesn't say back to her, you know, that's bad to rob hedge fund CEOs. Instead, he's like, he thinks about it for a moment. She's like, no, you belong in Gotham. The generalized cheap left-wing sensibility is very silly with regard to Catwoman. If I have not made clear at this point, the movie's also 8 hours long. It's like a Wagnerian ring cycle, this film. It just goes on and on and on. Every shot is composed in order to have people walk across rooms. Like, Christopher Nolan would snap that cut right to the action. If you watch Dark Knight, there is no wasted motion in that film, and it's 2.5 hours long. This is 3 hours long, and it feels like 4. I never check my watch during movies, particularly not a Batman movie, and I check my watch at least twice during this film. It's better than Marvel, because everything's better than Marvel, because Marvel doesn't take characters seriously, and Marvel feels like cotton candy. This doesn't feel like cotton candy. It just feels like a fundamental betrayal of the character, which is just, it's lazy writing, and more than that, it's not nice to the audience. The audience wants to see Batman be Batman and be good at being Batman and know why he's being Batman. They don't want to see
Wait, what? You get all of that in this movie? What?
Batman learn the lesson that being Batman is bad. That defeats the purpose of going to a Batman film. Alrighty, so that is my review.
Okay, what we learned, does not know a single thing about Batman, does not understand Batman one bit, or I should have, doesn't understand this version of the character. So, of course, trash. Ben Shapiro has always been trash. Don't like him. I don't understand why a lot of people think he's smart, because he's just straight up not. But yep, that is everything we had to talk about reactionaries being angry at the Batman. And yeah, what did we learn? Again, just reactionaries, conservatives do not know how to art. They don't. They don't know how to make it. They don't know how to think about art. They don't know how to do introspection on themselves. They don't know. They know a single goddamn thing. That's it. So if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below. I'll very much appreciate it. And peace.